Welcome in, quick hitters. Welcome in, Goodymo short crew. We have another quick hit spotlight. We lost another legend. Legendary boxer, George Foreman. Want to send my condolences to the family, everyone who knew him that was affected by his death. Learning of this yesterday. My remembrance of George Foreman is things that come to my mind is class. Class and professionalism. That's what George Foreman has portrayed over decades. Every time you've seen this man in an interview or documentary or just interacting with anybody, you just seen that iconic smile. He was a jokester at times, sense of humor, but man, stout indeed in his prime. So I just want to send my condolences out to his family. I'm pretty sure a lot of you remember the legendary fight between him and Muhammad Ali, the famous rope-a-dope. The man was so big and so strong, hit him consecutively throughout rounds while he was leaning on the ropes, tiring him out. This seemed to work. He tired him out. And once he tired him out, Muhammad Ali went to work to complete a fight legendary known as the rope-a-dope. George Foreman was chiseled, as you can see in this picture. The man was fit, he was stout, he was rock solid. Kind of reminds me of Truck Turner. You remember that movie Truck Turner? Legendary himself, Isaac Hayes. Soul singer, did some activist work himself. So yeah, man, a lot of legends past couple of years have fallen off. We're losing a lot of people, a lot of legends, a lot of iconic people that made big changes in this world. And George Foreman, if you're gonna look up to any superstar, anybody in, if you wanna say Hollywood, which is hard to pick out, I might add these days, a lot of weird stuff going on. But you can honestly say George Foreman, class act, professionalism, pretty much throughout his career that I know of. Seeing this man at work for decades. So he will be missed. I'm going to get into this article real quick of George Foreman before we head out of here. Big George Foreman, one of the most influential and recognizable boxers of all time, died Friday. His family announced on his social media account he was 76. Foreman, who won an Olympic gold medal in 1968, was a two-time heavyweight champion and Hall of Fame boxer. He is perhaps best known for the historic Rumble in the Jungle bout with Muhammad Ali in 1974 in Zaire. A fight Foreman lost in an upset 8th round knockout. Is arguably the most famous fight of all time. And then When We Were Kings, the film that chronicled the fight, won an Oscar for Best Documentary Feature. Foreman made history yet again later in his career. He fought 5 more times after he lost the heavyweight championship to Ali at age 25, including a 5th round TK victory over Joe Frazier, whom he stopped in 2 rounds to first win the title. A 5th round knockout of Ron Lyle in a classic slugfest. After that 5th fight at 28, Foreman shockingly announced his retirement and began a career as an ordained minister in his native Texas. So that is, folks. Pretty sure there's a lot more to unwrap with George Foreman. There's just a little small article here, just kind of detail a few things, but legendary indeed, and he has entertained us for decades. They said when George Foreman hit you, you stayed hit. Condolences to the family. G.S.Q.H, Goodymo Sports Quick Hits. Appreciate y'all time. Rest in peace to the great. We out of here. Peace.
There was the guy who played the heavy, really, the villain against Muhammad Ali in Zaire a half a century ago. Let's talk about that guy first. Tell us about the young George Foreman.
Well, if you look at boxing as a continuum, he was somewhere between, he was the scary guy. So he's between Sonny Liston and Mike Tyson. And, you know, Joe Frazier was about as tough a guy who's ever laced up gloves. He put him down 6 times. And I think that really crystallized Foreman's reputation as invincible. Everybody, you know, who's going to put down Joe Frazier 6 times, and it set up the Rumble in the Jungle, arguably as famous a fight as ever there was, for Ali, which of course left Foreman, I think, psychiatrically scarred. You know, he was the bully who was undone against Ali, and it was probably Ali's finest moment. It was what he did in the rope a dope was pretty much improvisational, and it tested his courage, and it tested everyone's limits. And watching this, how long can Ali do this? And then, of course, you saw what happened. He turned it all around on the bully. What's different about Foreman than perhaps anyone else is the idea you cited before of reinventing yourself. It's uniquely American, but it's never been done this way in boxing. It wasn't just coming back as a preacher and a pitchman and selling hamburgers or grills or whatever it was. It was more purposeful than any of us knew as far as boxing. The previous oldest heavyweight champion, I believe, was Jersey Joe Walcott, who won when he was 37. Um, Foreman came back when he was just shy of his 46th birthday, I think, 2 months shy, and in doing it, it was his own kind of rope a dope that night against Michael Moore. I'll never forget it. He took punches. Moore was a really skilled guy, and he just beat him up for 9 rounds. Moore did, with a great right jab, and all of a sudden, Foreman reaches out, slaps him with a left hook, and you see that right hand. That thing traveled this far, boom, and it puts him out. And it was an extraordinary comeback. And I think that across, like, all the other sports are metaphors for what boxing actually is, but what Foreman did that night what was the most sacred thing any athlete can do. He defied time, and he did it in a profound way, winning by knockout in the 10th round after taking extraordinary punishment for, basically 9.5 rounds.
Unbelievable. Larger than life figure, winning titles in 2 different decades, 20 years apart. Had 5 sons, named them all George.
Right.
Just a
But
colorful
if
figure.
I can add one thing,
Yes.
he didn't just reinvent himself. He was a bad guy who came back as a guy who was universally loved. That's a very difficult thing to do in any piece of life.